Imagine this. Before 1846, if you needed an operation, you weren't looking for the most precise surgeon.
No.
You were looking for the fastest butcher in town.
It was literally a speed contest, a horrific one.
Right. Surgery was this cruel race where patients, they often died from the shock and the fear itself.
Not even from the procedure. And that brings us to our deep dive today.
Ether Day, October 16th, 1846. The moment everything changed.
Exactly. And the sources we're digging into show it wasn't some clean, simple discovery. It was a furious, competitive scramble.
Scramble between who?
Ambitious dentists versus established surgeons, all battling for credit over this huge medical revolution.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. The first widely known attempt came from a dentist, Horace Wells.
In 1844. And it makes perfect sense that a dentist was first.
Why is that?
Because they were confronted with agony every single day.
Yeah.
Pulling teeth, they were desperate for a solution.
So Wells sees people using nitrous oxide, laughing gas.
Yeah, and he notices they fall down, get bruised, would feel no pain. So he thinks maybe for tooth extractions.
But his big public debut in Boston was, famously, a failure.
A spectacular failure. He tries the gas, the patient cries out in pain, and the audience, mostly skeptical doctors,
They weren't having it.
they booed him right off the stage. They thought it was a complete farce.
So this whole revolution almost died right there because of a bad performance.
It almost did. The world just wasn't ready to believe it yet.
Which is where the timeline gets really messy because someone had already done it. Successfully.
This is the wild part. A surgeon down in Georgia, Crawford W. Long,
And he did this before Wells's failure.
years before, all the way back in 1842, he was using ether to remove small tumors from patients.
So why don't we celebrate Long Day instead of Ether Day?
Because, and this is the absolute key, he didn't publish his findings.
He just kept it to himself.
For the most part, yes. He didn't write it up until 1849, and by then it was far too late.
The world had already moved on.
Exactly. Because the true tipping point was that successful, very public demonstration in 1846 at Massachusetts General Hospital.
Ether Day. With the dentist, W.T.G. Morton, giving the ether, and the surgeon, J.C. Warren, doing the surgery.
That's the one. Theatrical success beat private discovery to the history books.
But the story gets even more complicated, right? Commercial ambition kicks in.
Oh, immediately. Morton tried to hide the identity of the substance.
You're kidding? He tried to hide that it was just common ether.
He did. He rebranded it, tried to patent it under the name lithium.
That sounds less like a scientific hero and more like someone trying to secure a monopoly.
That was precisely the attempt. The medical community, of course, figured it out almost instantly.
And what about that famous line, gentlemen, this is no humbug?
You know, it's fascinating. The sources suggest that line might not be authentic.
Added later for effect.
It's very possible. Academic debate points to it being absent from contemporary records.
But at least the naming problem got solved.
Right, Oliver Wendell Holmes Sr. stepped in and suggested the terms we still use, anesthesia and anesthetic.
So let's get to the real so what's. For you, our listener, this wasn't just about comfort.
No, not at all. It fundamentally changed surgery from that race against time to a planned, delicate procedure.
It slowed everything down.
It did. For the first time, surgeons could pause, think, and perform complex, deep operations. Patient survival rates, they just soared.
A true revolution. But the competition didn't stop there.
Never does. The moment ether was proven, the door was wide open.
And just a year later.
1847. Chloroform emerges, and the next great medical rivalry begins. Ether versus chloroform.
So when you boil it down, Ether Day was this perfect storm of science, cynical ambition, and competing claims.
Dentists versus surgeons, Long versus Morton. It was messy.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to chew on.
We know Crawford Long was the undisputed first.
But the weight only changed because of Morton's public, published, and, successful performance.
So it raises the question, in medicine, is widespread acceptance and publication sometimes more impactful than simply being the absolute first to discover a breakthrough?